lesson, we're going to be looking at the features of a diary entry. So what needs to be included in a diary entry to make it specifically a diary before we start writing our own diary entries next week. So today we are going to be learning to identify the features of a diary entry. We're going to understand the purpose of a diary entry, why it's written. We're going to be able to name the features used in a diary entry, and we're going to be able to read a diary entry and highlight the features throughout it. So here are some pictures of diaries. You can see on here, there's a diary. Here, there's an old looking diary, and here, there's a diary entry as well. Why might somebody want to write a diary? So I want you to think about that now. Why might you or anybody might want to write a diary? Have a think for me. Well, a diary entry is a form of recount in which the writer explains what's happened to them. So you might want to write a diary to get your emotions and your feelings out. That diary is specific to you. It might be something that you don't show anybody else. So you can show your true feelings. You can write down exactly how you feel in that diary entry. It's like you're speaking to a friend, that diary. And you can put in all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, whether you're sad, whether you're happy. And you can talk about all the things that have happened. So in years and years to come, you could go back and find your diary and think, oh, 10 years ago, I did this. I forgot about that. And it reminds you of the things that you have done. So the purpose of writing a diary entry is, like I said, to express your feelings, your thoughts. It allows you to record your events, experiences, and other personal things without any judgment. So it's not like speaking to a friend and saying, oh, this person's really annoyed me, because they might turn around and say, well, that's not very nice to say. You can write those sorts of things in your diary. You can write things that actually, if you were talking to somebody in reality, you might be judged, but in your diary you won't be, because you're just speaking to the diary. So, what is a diary? Well, here is an example of one. This is the diary of a Stone Age child. It says, "Dear diary, today was the most incredible day of my life. Should I tell you what I did? I woke feeling cold and looked up to see my younger brother Stout leaving. The fire had gone out and the deerskin that my mother Fennel had draped carefully over me last night had fallen off, so my bare feet could feel the chilly autumn breeze blowing in. It was time to get up. Emerging from the teepee, I looked out at the hills beyond our camp to see the sun slowly rising. I had jobs to do that morning, but first I had to help my brother to gather some breakfast. We took our rabbit skin bags to the edge of the wood where the blackberries grew and filled them up to the brim. We couldn't resist gobbling a few berries as we picked, because the hunters had not had a successful day out yesterday, and we'd only had a baby deer to share between our large family of 24, so we were ravenously hungry." So this is a diary entry of a child in the Stone Age. And from this, we can see lots of what life was like in the Stone Age. So, for example, they lived in teepees. You don't see many people living in teepees now. Most people live in houses or flats or cottages or different types of houses. We can see here they had rabbit skin bags, and that they had to go and forage for their food. They went and got blackberries in order to eat. So they obviously didn't have supermarkets like Sainsbury's or Tesco's. And then it says they had a very large family of 24. So 24 people in a family, all living together, all eating the same food. We have large families now, but usually that includes our aunties and uncles, and they'll live in different houses. Whereas back then, you can see 24 members of the family. That would have been their brothers, their sisters, their children, aunties, uncles, all together. So we can learn a lot about not only what this child felt at the time, we know they were ravenously hungry, but also about the time it was written, about the Stone Age. So one of the features is that it always starts Dear Diary. You can see a big capital D, a big capital D for diary. You've got to imagine that's the name of the person. So say if you were writing to myself, Miss Bailey, Dear Miss Bailey, the M in Miss and the B in Bailey would have a big capital letter. Same with diary, that's the name. So Dear Diary always starts at the top, and you can see the punctuation underneath is a comma. That's on the top line, and then the writing for the first line goes underneath. So Dear Diary is always on its own with the comma, and then underneath we start writing. So that's the first feature. Second feature, it includes questions, and usually these are rhetorical questions speaking to the diary. You wouldn't expect an answer back like, what's the time? oh, it's 4 o'clock. It's a rhetorical question. So you're saying it to the diary and you're expressing your thoughts yourself. So I can see here on this page, we've got a question, shall I tell you what I did? So that's asking the diary that rhetorical question. Well, I had the most incredible day. Shall I tell you what happened? And then the rest of the diary is explaining what has happened that day. So using questions is really important within your diary to express your feelings. Another feature is that it's written in chronological order. That means you write about the events in the order that they happened. So you're not going to talk about, say, a Monday, and you're not going to say what happened Monday evening first. You might say what happened in the morning, what happened in the lunchtime or the afternoon, what happened in the evening before you went to bed. So it's got to be written in the correct order. So you can see here that the child that wrote this diary, they said they woke up first feeling cold. He went to see his younger brother Stout leaving. The fire had gone out. It was time to get up. Then they went out to gather some breakfast. So it's in chronological order. He woke up first, went to find his brother. Then they went out to get the berries. A diary entry also usually uses time connectives like firstly, next, after that, then, sometime later, finally. So those time connectives are usually used at the beginning of each of the paragraphs to say, what did you do first? So you might have woken up first. What did you do next? Did you eat your breakfast? After that, what did you do? Did you go out to play? So using those time connectives sequences that order and shows the reader that it went into that order, like a chronological order. A diary also includes lots of description. You need to add loads of detail. Okay, you might detail places that you visited, people that you were with, events, objects. And they include your personal feelings and thoughts about these things. So maybe you went to watch a film and it was rubbish. Okay, in your diary, you're going to tell me what a waste of time that film was, what you didn't like about it. Were there any good things about it? Who did you go with? What time did you go? What did you eat when you were at the cinema? What were you wearing? So by doing this and adding extra detail, you're going to find that when you go back and look at it in 10 years' time, or if someone picks up your diary, they will be able to visualise exactly what happened on that day, what it was like. Another one, using pronouns. So a diary entry is written in first person. It's your diary. So it's I did this, I did that, we did this. If you included one of your friends in there, you might say he, you might say she, you might say we're. But you're not saying the girl went to the shops because you're talking about yourself, not a different character. And one of the most important things about a diary, and why most people have them, is you need to include your feelings and emotions. So the writer might include their mood, how they're feeling, why they're feeling that way, and it helps the reader to visualise why are they feeling that way, how are they feeling, what happened. So if they're sad, they might explain why they're sad. So here's an example. I'm feeling extremely upset today because Molly at school was really unkind and she said that I couldn't play. By reading that extract of the diary, you know that there was an issue at school, that the person writing the diary was extremely upset. Molly was being unkind to her. She said she couldn't play, and that's why she's feeling upset or angry. The final feature of a diary entry is the close, how you end the diary. And diaries are usually ended with the person who's written the diary's name. So like Tom Bailey, Samantha Smith, and that's usually placed underneath on the left-hand side. So now we're going to have a little go at highlighting the features. So I've provided you with a worksheet which has a diary entry on. And you can use different colours to highlight those features. So we've got where it starts, Dear Diary. The date, okay, saying when it's written, that's important. The fact that it's written in paragraphs, in sections, okay, those small sections. We've already gone over that in previous learning. So we've said that when we write in paragraphs, we leave a space underneath. A paragraph talks about a particular topic and then we go on to the next one. It includes those time connectives, first, then, after. The pronouns, I, he, she, we, it, you, they. Rhetorical questions. And then our close, okay? Ending Sam or ending Miss Bailey. So see whether you now can go back and highlight the different features within the diary entry that I provided you with. If you don't have these colours, don't worry, you could make a different key. So it might be that for starts Dear Diary, you circle it. For the date, you put a love heart next to it. For written in paragraphs, you put a star next to it. So you could do a different key with pictures or use different colours that you've got instead.